Hello. Welcome back. Boy, I've missed seeing you in church. It's been very strange being at home all the time, hasn't it? Well, I want to show you some wonderful things because I've been here helping make church happen that you've been able to watch on your computer, on YouTube, and listening to amazing music. And as I've been in here in this wonderful church, which is sadly empty, I've been looking at all of the beautiful artwork in here. And the artwork that jumps out at me, especially on these beautiful summer days, now we're getting close to summer, are these beautiful stained glass windows. Look at all of these windows we have here. Aren't they pretty? They're just amazing works of art. Look at them all. I remember how, when I was a child in the church I grew up in Hartford, which had a lot of stained glass windows, the priest there was showing us all the stained glass windows, and he said, "You know how you are like a stained glass window?" And I remember saying, "No, I'm not like a stained glass window. I'm like this, and they're like that." He says, "No, you're just like a stained glass window because the light shines through you. And you can't understand what these windows are about unless you let the light shine through them." And that's like you. So what I want to do is take some time on and off over the next few weeks to look at the different windows and to tell the story of them. And I want to start with one in the back. So what I'm calling this is a Saint Safari. And we're looking not at a biblical saint, but a person who grew up in this church and who's remembered in one of these windows. It's right back here, in the very back of the church. If you've ever gone to the prayer and play space, you know, our little table back here with the books and a place to color, then you've been sitting right under this window. And here it is. And like the other windows here, it's in three parts. There's the big theme of the window with the arches, and then there's a top story and a bottom story. And the story of this window is really amazing. First, let's look at the top. So at the very top, you'll see a ship, and then in the middle, you see Jesus represented there with the halo, teaching the elders, and there's a story about that. And then in the bottom, you see Jesus with his parents, and he's in the carpentry shop. So let's start at the top. Why the ship? Well, the ship is a symbol of the church. It's also a symbol reminds us of God's and the saving Noah and all the animals in the ark. But it mainly points to the fact that Edward McCluskey was in the Navy. And so there's a St. Edward's cross, that's the kind of cross on the sail, and then a ship. And so he was in the Navy during World War II in a place in the Pacific called the Solomon Islands. So we move down a little bit, and then we see Jesus. There it is, there's Jesus, teaching in the temple, and there are three rabbis or scholars listening to him. And one here appears to debate Jesus. One is being very thoughtful. But here's the child Jesus teaching, and in the story, he is about 12. But here's the man in the middle, and look at his expression is different. First of all, he doesn't have a beard. He appears to be younger. But his hand is up in understanding, and right over his head is a lantern, which, if you've seen in cartoons when somebody gets it or has an idea, a light bulb goes off in their head. Well, they had no light bulbs in biblical times, so he's sitting under the lantern because he gets it. And that face right there is a portrait of Edward Sterling McCluskey. And we find a picture just like that in the newspaper when it described his death in the Pacific. And it probably was his picture from his college yearbook. So we move down, and we see this bottom panel. And we see Jesus here with the halo in the carpentry shop. And he's making what appears to be a cross, which prefigures his crucifixion, with Joseph, his father, and Mary, his mother. And there are lots of other little clues. So there are 3 nails in the bag, which would indicate both his crucifixion and also point to the Trinity. There's a compass, a kind of tool used in carpentry. And there's another prefigurement of the cross laid into the floor and behind in the shop. So you can see all kinds of Christian symbolism happening here. And then the bottom here talks about who the window is in memory of. This window was installed in 1951. Lieutenant McCluskey was lost at sea, missing in action. In July 1943, he was 30 years old, maybe 31 years old. He was born in 1912. He was born here in Easton. His father was a judge. He went to Lafayette College, and we see here a symbol of Lafayette, George Washington's profile, but also that is a medal that says the Purple Heart, which is the medal that was given to sailors and soldiers who were wounded in action. He was a member of a Masonic lodge, and there's the Masonic symbol there. And he was a member of a fraternity at Lafayette, and that symbol is there. So there's all kinds of things happening here if you know how to read it. And the thing that is important to remember also is that this was a person who grew up in this church. He went to church here. He was confirmed here. He went to Sunday school, probably received communion here, and he went to college and went to church here all during that time. And so when we installed the prayer and play space, it seemed really appropriate that children who are drawing and playing and praying while church was happening would be in front of this window of a person who grew up in this parish. I forgot something. I said that when Lieutenant McCluskey was killed in action or missing in action, he was in the place called the Solomon Islands. Where is that? Well, on this globe, can you see this? This is the Pacific Ocean. And if you go around, there's a continent and a country called Australia. And just a little bit north of that, and a little bit north and east of that, are a series of islands called the Solomon Islands. And there was a big battle there in 1943 called Guadalcanal. And as the British and American and Australian and New Zealand and other troops were all trying to win back those islands which had been conquered, this was the place where that battle took place and where Lieutenant McCluskey was missing in action. I don't know the name of the ship that he was serving on or what his job was. I hope to find that out someday. But that's where he was. Can you imagine going so far away? And when the news came back that he was missing in action, this church and his parents and family and friends were very sad, and they remembered him. And so that's why they made this window. If you come to church sometime, look around, because there are other things to see. Like right here is a list of all of the people from our church who served in, it says, the World War. That would have been the First World War. And on the other side of the church is another honor roll of all of the people from this church who served in this parish during World War II. And there are people in this parish who served in Korea and in Vietnam and in other battles and wars, who serve in the military right now. And we should remember and pray for them. And of course, Memorial Day is a time where we remember those who have died in the service of their country. And Veterans Day is the day we remember all veterans. And so on those 2 days in particular is when we in our country remember all those people. But today I wanted to point to you this window about a young man who grew up in this church, who decided to put aside his practice of law, and instead of serving at a desk someplace, decided to go on a ship and serve with other sailors in a very important battle, and was lost at sea. And his parents remembered his growing up here, and so made this beautiful window. And we made this space where you can learn and play and pray as you grow into the full stature of Christ as the baptized persons you are. We'll talk more about other saints and see another bunch of faces that were put in here for people in this church. But in the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy, and God go with you in all you do.